Today we're going to be getting our hands dirty. Now in English, getting your hands dirty has a couple of symbolic meanings too. A criminal is said to be getting their hands dirty if they were to put aside their ethics and forget about their morals to commit the crime, getting their hands dirty. A positive meaning would be a boss that leaves their office and gets down and does manual labor with their employees in order to get a job done working side by side. The boss is said to be getting their hands dirty. But today we're going to be literally getting our hands dirty making meatballs. And we'll learn about compound nouns in English, and we'll make some jokes using those compound nouns using something called puns. So stick around, make sure that you take off your rings, make sure you don't have any messages that you need to respond to on your phone as we get our hands dirty making meatballs. What is it that I love so much about meatballs? It might be their juicy inside and crispy, crunchy outside. It could be because they're little and cute, or maybe it's because they're bite size. People seem to like things that are bite size. But I think I can pinpoint the moment where I began to really love meatballs. So let's take a trip down memory lane. I remember when I was a kid, on special Sundays, my stepdad, who came from New York, would make his famous Italian-style meatballs. And he would always make them early in the day and then leave them sitting out in the kitchen on a plate just to drive us crazy, waiting for dinner. So I would find every excuse to sneak in, pop one in my mouth, and sneak out without being noticed. And I would do this a little bit all day long, inventing new excuses to go in the kitchen. But could you blame me? I mean, I was a little meatball myself, and I just loved them so much. True love will always win. And I'm Jim. So that brings us to our little English bite for today. We're going to learn about something called compound nouns. Now, compound nouns are basically when you take two words, two nouns, and you put them together to make a completely new word. The example of meat and ball is a compound noun. We have a lot of these in English. I think you have some in Chinese as well. And since the video promises that you'll learn English vocabulary 3 times faster, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hack that will help you, using compound nouns, that will help you to learn vocabulary more quickly. So let's take again this example of meatball, right? If you've never heard this word before, and you go and you look up what is meat and what is a ball, now you've learned meatball and you've learned meat and ball. And on top of that, you've associated those words together, so you've sort of visually made connections in your imagination. Another thing you can do if you know meatball is you can say, all right, what other compound nouns have the word ball in them? You've got eyeball, you've got cannonball. Now, if you learn those words, you have more associations. And one final way to solidify new vocabulary in your mind is to use humor. So we're going to take compound nouns and explore them through something called puns. Now, I think you have puns in Chinese as well. All right, so this first one is a blind date, which is a romantic first meeting of two people whom have never met. Blind is when you can't see anything. The joke is on the compound noun of blind date. Chicken stock. Chicken stock is the juice made from boiling chicken bones for a really long time, usually with vegetables. Makes for a delicious soup. And stock is it's the market where companies are bought and sold by the public. So here we have a joke about chicken stock. Goosebumps. Goosebumps are little bumps that appear on your skin when you're either cold or when you're excited. And in this picture, the geese are fist bumping, which is to lightly touch your fists to celebrate something or when you see somebody. Lemonade. Lemonade is a delicious cold drink that we drink in the summertime that we make from lemons. And aid is when we offer relief or assistance to somebody in need, like the Red Cross. So in this case, the lemon is cut in half and they're rushing it to the hospital. What's next? Sleeping bag. A sleeping bag is a thick bag that we use when we're camping to stay warm. And in this picture, the paper bag, the brown bag, is fast asleep. So let's not wake them.
I get it. You don't work with me on this. It ain't making me laugh, but I get it.
All right, so now we're ready to cook our 2 meatball dishes, albóndigas en la salsa española and lion's head meatballs from China. In Spanish, we say será pan comida. It will be easy. It'll be a piece of cake. So here we have our really fatty ground pork for the Chinese meatballs, and we're adding various spices, soy sauce, oyster sauce, a little bit of mixing just to get everything combined. And once we start to mix it, we'll put it in a taller bowl, because the important thing with the lion's head meatballs is we can only stir in one direction, and we stir for 10 minutes straight. Let's look at the Spanish meatballs. We've got really good beef, ground pork, sofrito, which is a really important tomato paste ingredient in Spanish cuisine. Get it all mixed together. These are our Spanish meatballs that we're making here with a little bit of flour on the outside. For the sauce, the Spanish sauce, we have a lot of finely chopped vegetables, frying up with a dried Spanish pepper, some wine, stirring it. We'll add some broth and stir it, add some broth and stir. For an hour, we'll add broth and stir, frying the Spanish meatballs. Now we've got a taller container for the Chinese meatballs. You can see them in the oil there. They need a pot. Those are the Spanish ones. Chinese meatballs, we're making the sauce. Throw some scallions into a pan. Add some brown sugar. Once that's melted really well, we're gonna start adding our wet ingredients like soy sauce and wine, rice wine. And get that good and boiling. Once it's boiling, we'll put our Chinese meatballs in to braise and then put them on the back burner. Here is our sauce. We removed all the vegetables and just have the sauce for the Spanish meatballs. And we put them in there to cook slowly for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes covered. Here are our 2 meatball dishes ready to be served. Lion's head meatballs with a thick, sweet soy sauce glaze. And I chose to use 8 as the number because I understand that in China, 8 and 9 are lucky when you're making meatballs. So 8 meatballs, lion's head. And now the sauce for the albóndigas españolas, the salsa español. And we're ready to eat. Now I will say that both meatball dishes were excellent. I really liked the sauce in the Spanish one. I really loved the softness and the texture of the lion's head meatballs, and also the sauce was very sweet and delicious. No winners here, except for me getting to eat 2 meatball dishes. I want to thank you for sharing some of your time with us today. We learned 2 new ways to cook meatballs, and you can never know enough ways to cook meatballs. Hopefully you were able to understand a little bit more about compound nouns and the way we can use them as a trick for acquiring and remembering English vocabulary. And if you understood the puns, hopefully they were a little bit funny. So thanks for joining Food We Share. Stay tuned for more episodes where we'll explore English and some more great recipes from China and Spain.